My daughter Selena called me poor in front of 200 wedding guests. She said I was just a simple computer repair guy who could never give her the life she deserved. Everyone nodded sympathetically. Her new in-laws patted her shoulder. "Thank goodness you found Brandon," someone whispered loud enough for me to hear. I sat in the back of that reception hall, wearing my 15-year-old suit, and I started to laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was about to become very expensive. You see, I am poor. I'm poor at letting disrespect slide. I'm poor at accepting ingratitude, and I'm especially poor at letting people think they know who I really am. My name is Jason Anderson, and I'm about to show my daughter what happens when you bite the hand that's been feeding you for 32 years. But before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments, have you ever had someone completely misjudge who you really are? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. It started when Selena was 3 years old. Her mother packed 2 suitcases and left us both. "You're always dreaming, Jason," she said at the door. "Selena needs stability, not fantasies." The sound of that door closing still echoes in my mind 29 years later. I held my little girl that night as she cried for mommy. Her tiny hands gripped my shirt. "Daddy fix?" she whispered, like I fixed the broken computers that paid our rent. I worked 3 jobs back then, days at the computer repair shop downtown, evenings doing house calls for frustrated customers, nights coding freelance projects while Selena slept. My hands were always stained with electronic grease. My back ached from hunching over motherboards. I lived on coffee and determination. Selena's first word wasn't mama or dada, it was fix. She'd watch me work, those big brown eyes following every movement. But those late nights weren't just about paying bills. I was building something bigger than anyone could see. While the world slept, I coded, line by line, function by function, creating what would become my empire. I made a promise that night after her mother left, standing in Selena's doorway watching her sleep in that tiny bedroom. My hands were calloused from manual labor. My bank account had $47, but my mind was racing with possibilities. "She'll never know how to struggle like I did," I whispered to the darkness. "She'll have everything I never had, every opportunity, every advantage." I started TechBridge Solutions that weekend, incorporated it for $75 at the courthouse, worked 16-hour days building custom database systems for local businesses. Selena thought Daddy was just really good with computers. She had no idea her father was creating the foundation of what would become a technology empire. I kept the business side hidden, used a P.O. box for mail, met clients after Selena's bedtime, deposited checks into a separate account she never knew existed. To her, I was just Daddy who fixed things and always made her favorite pancakes on Sunday mornings. But every contract I signed had her future in mind. By 1995, everything changed. The breakthrough came when I was 35. A major insurance company needed a complete database overhaul. The contract was worth $2 million. I signed it in a conference room downtown while Selena was at soccer practice. That night, I drove home in my beat-up Honda Civic. Same car I'd driven for 8 years. Selena ran to meet me at the door, grass stains on her uniform, holding a juice box. "Did you fix more computers today, Daddy?" "Something like that, sweetheart." I tucked her into bed and read her favorite story about a princess who saved herself. She fell asleep holding my hand. That's when I opened my laptop and checked the business account. 7 figures for the first time. More money than my father had seen in his entire lifetime. But I kept driving the Honda. Kept living in our small house. Kept wearing the same work clothes. Selena needed to see that happiness didn't come from money. It came from family, from love, from working hard for what you believed in. The irony is, she learned that lesson too well. But this was just the beginning. TechBridge Solutions exploded in the late 90s. Every company needed database systems. Every business wanted a website. I had the skills and the timing. Fortune 500 companies started calling. IBM, General Electric, even some government contracts. I hired employees but stayed behind the scenes, set up multiple LLCs to handle different aspects of the business, created shell companies to manage the real estate investments, built a complex legal structure that kept my name out of the spotlight. Selena turned 10 that year. She wanted a bicycle for her birthday. I bought her a used one from the classifieds and spent Saturday afternoon teaching her to ride. She fell 6 times before she got it right. When she finally pedaled down the street without my hand on her back, she screamed with joy. That same week, I closed a $12 million deal with a telecommunications company. I celebrated by taking Selena for ice cream at the corner shop. She got chocolate chip, I got vanilla. We talked about her math homework and her best friend Jessica's sleepover party. She had no idea her father was worth more than most of her friends' parents combined. Then came the offer I couldn't refuse. Microsoft wanted to buy TechBridge Solutions. The meeting was set for a Tuesday morning in Seattle. I told Selena I had to travel for work. "Just fixing some big computers, Daddy," I said, kissing her forehead. The Microsoft executives were younger than me, sharp suits, confident handshakes. They'd analyzed our code, our client base, our growth projections. "Mr. Anderson," the lead negotiator said, "we'd like to offer you $85 million for full acquisition." $85 million. I sat there thinking about Selena doing homework at the kitchen table, about her upcoming school play where she'd be playing a tree, about how she saved quarters in a mason jar to buy Christmas presents. "I need to think about it," I said. "Take your time, but this offer expires Friday." I flew home that evening. Selena was already asleep, but she'd left a drawing on my pillow. A stick figure family, Daddy, Selena, and our cat Whiskers. "I love you, Daddy," written in purple crayon. I signed the papers that Friday. $85 million, transferred to accounts Selena would never see. I structured it through trusts and investment portfolios, created a financial fortress that would protect her future while keeping her grounded in the present. I thought I was protecting her from the corruption of wealth, teaching her humility and work ethic before she inherited everything. I thought I was being a good father. I was wrong. The years after the Microsoft sale were the strangest of my life. By day, I was Jason Anderson, single dad who fixed computers. By night, I managed an $85 million portfolio. Board meetings in Manhattan while Selena was at school. Investment properties purchased through LLC fronts. Stock trades executed from my laptop after bedtime stories. I owned office buildings, apartment complexes, tech startups. My financial advisor called me twice a week. My accountant managed multiple corporations. But to Selena, I was just Daddy who shopped with coupons. She'd complain when I bought generic cereal instead of name brand. "Dad, why can't we get the good stuff like Jessica's family?" I'd smile and explain about being careful with money. She'd roll her eyes and mutter about being the poor kid at school. If only she knew I could have bought her entire school. The hardest part was watching her struggle with things I could easily fix. When she wanted to join the expensive summer camp but we couldn't afford it. When she looked longingly at designer clothes but settled for department store versions. When she whispered to her friends that her dad was just a computer guy. I told myself I was building her character, teaching her the value of money, preparing her to appreciate wealth when she eventually inherited it. But somewhere along the way, she stopped appreciating me. Every year the lie grew bigger. Every year the distance between us widened. And every year I convinced myself I was doing the right thing. Every year I was wrong. Selena's senior year of high school, the college acceptance letters started arriving. Harvard, Stanford, MIT. Full rides were impossible. We made too much money on paper from my computer repair business, but not enough for $60,000 a year in tuition. "Dad, I got into Princeton," she said, tears in her eyes. "But we can't afford it. I'll go to state school instead." My heart broke watching her give up her dreams. That night I called my lawyer. "I need to set up a scholarship fund," I said. "The Selena Anderson Excellence in Technology Scholarship. Full ride, Princeton University. How much are we talking about, Jason?" "Whatever it takes. $240,000 should cover 4 years." The paperwork took 2 weeks. Selena received a phone call from Princeton's financial aid office. "Miss Anderson, congratulations. You've been awarded a full scholarship from an anonymous donor." She screamed. She cried. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Dad, can you believe it? Someone believed in me enough to pay for my entire education." "You deserve it, sweetheart. You worked so hard." I watched her pack for college that August. Every textbook, every laptop, every dorm room necessity is paid for by the scholarship fund. She never knew her mysterious benefactor was the man loading boxes into his 15-year-old Honda. But college was just the beginning. Selena graduated summa cum laude in computer science. Ironic, considering her father was just a computer repair guy. She got a job at a consulting firm in Manhattan. Good salary, but not enough for New York real estate. "Dad, I found the perfect apartment," she called me one Tuesday. "It's a co-op on the Upper West Side, but I need $150,000 for the down payment. I wish you could help, but I know you're just getting by." Just getting by. That phrase hit me like a punch to the stomach. I was managing investment portfolios worth more than some small country's GDP. I owned the building 3 blocks from her dream apartment, but to her, I was struggling. "I'm sorry, honey. I wish I could do more." 2 weeks later, Selena got another call, this time from an estate attorney. "Miss Anderson, I'm calling about your great-aunt Mary's will. Apparently, she left you a bequest of $150,000. "Great-aunt Mary? I never met any great-aunt Mary. Family records show she was your father's aunt. Very private woman. The funds are available immediately. I'd spent 3 hours creating the fictional great-aunt Mary. Birth certificate, death certificate, will, estate documentation. My lawyer thought I was insane. Why not just give her the money directly? Because she needs to think she earned it." Then she met Brandon. 6 months after Selena moved into her apartment, she called me excited about her amazing deal. "Dad, you won't believe this. I was looking at apartments on Zillow, and my building is worth over $2 million. But I'm only paying $1,800 in rent. The market rate should be at least $4,000. My blood ran cold. She was getting too curious. "That's interesting, honey." I asked the super about it. He said the owner is some LLC that bought the building as an investment and just wants stable tenants. But Dad, $1,800 for a $2 million apartment? That's insane. I cleared my throat carefully. "You know, I might have mentioned you to an old client, guy I used to fix computers for. He went into real estate. Probably put in a good word." "Really? You never told me?" It was just a casual conversation, nothing formal. She bought the explanation completely, but my hands were shaking when I hung up the phone. The secret was getting harder to keep. Brandon Mitchell, third-generation lawyer from Old Money, Connecticut. The kind of family that summered in the Hamptons and wintered in Aspen. Selena was smitten. I was concerned. Not because he was a bad person. Brandon was polite, educated, successful. But he looked at me the way people look at service workers. Polite acknowledgement, but no real respect. "Mr. Anderson," he said the first time we met, "Selena tells me you work in computers." "I fix them," I said simply. "How practical." The wedding planning began immediately. Selena wanted everything perfect for Brandon's family. The venue alone cost $40,000. Flowers, photographer, catering, the bills kept climbing. "Dad, I feel terrible asking, but we need help with the wedding. Brandon's family is contributing, but we're still short about $80,000. $80,000. I spent more than that on lunch meetings with investment advisors. "Honey, I wish I could, but I know, Dad. You've already done so much just by being there for me." Another mysterious inheritance appeared, this time from my late business partner, who'd left money in trust for my daughter's wedding. Selena cried when she got the news. "Dad, can you believe how lucky we are?" Lucky. I watched her plan her dream wedding with money she thought fell from heaven. Every deposit, every payment, every detail funded by the father, she was slowly learning to hide from her new family. That comment should have warned me what was coming. The pattern became clear after the wedding expenses were settled. Selena expected financial miracles. When her car broke down, she waited for another inheritance. When she wanted to renovate the apartment, she casually mentioned how nice it would be if another anonymous benefactor appeared. But the real change was in how she talked about me. "My dad tries his best," she'd tell her friends. "He's sweet, but pretty limited financially." "Maybe he should look into better jobs," Brandon suggested during a dinner at their apartment. "There are lots of opportunities for people with technical skills." "He's set in his ways," Selena explained. "You know how older people get." I sat there eating the dinner I'd indirectly paid for, in the apartment I'd secretly funded, listening to my daughter apologize for my existence. The worst part was watching her take credit for her good fortune. When coworkers asked how she afforded such a nice place on her salary, she'd smile mysteriously. "Just lucky, I guess. Good karma. Good karma." She'd stop thanking me for the small things I could openly give. Stopped asking about my work or my life. I became a weekend obligation, a charity case who needed careful management around Brandon's sophisticated family. Dad, when you meet Brandon's parents, maybe don't mention the computer repair thing so much. The wedding reception would be different, she promised. I'd finally meet the whole Mitchell family. I'd see how successful people lived. I had no idea how educational that evening would become. The wedding ceremony was beautiful. Selena looked radiant in her $8,000 dress. The flowers were perfect. The venue was everything she'd dreamed of. I watched from the third row as my daughter married into Connecticut aristocracy. The reception was at the Brookstone Country Club, old money venue with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. I walked in wearing my best suit, the same one I'd worn to client meetings for 15 years. Simple, clean, but nothing like the designer tuxedos worn by Brandon's family. Jason, Marie Mitchell, Brandon's mother, approached with her practiced smile. So lovely to finally meet Selena's father. She's told us so much about you. Her eyes scanned my outfit. Her smile never wavered, but I could see the quick judgment, the slight repositioning to keep me away from the important guests. Thank you for raising such a wonderful daughter, she continued, though I suppose it must have been challenging as a single parent. We managed. Of course you did. Selena turned out beautifully despite, circumstances. Despite the circumstances. Like being raised by me was something to overcome. I found my assigned table in the back corner. The card read, Jason Anderson, father of bride, surrounded by Selena's college friends and distant relatives. Then came the toasts. Brandon's father stood first. Judge Harrison Mitchell, retired federal court. His voice carried across the ballroom like he was delivering a verdict. Tonight we celebrate the union of two families, he began. The Mitchells have been proud members of this community for 4 generations. We believe in hard work, integrity, and service to others. Applause rippled through the crowd. Selena beamed at the head table. Brandon has chosen well. Selena brings intelligence, beauty, and determination to our family. She's overcome many challenges to become the successful woman we see today. Overcome challenges. There was that phrase again. I'd also like to acknowledge the contributions of both families. Success in marriage, like success in life, comes from strong foundations and good values. His eyes swept the room, landed on me for a moment. Polite nod, then back to the microphone. I know Selena's father has done his best to provide for her. Single parenthood is never easy, especially on limited resources. Limited resources. The crowd murmured sympathetically. Several people turned to look at me with those pitying smiles. Poor Jason Anderson. Did his best with what little he had. The microphone passed to Selena. The next words changed everything. Selena stood gracefully, radiant in the spotlight. 200 guests waited for her words. I felt a flutter of pride watching my daughter command the room. Thank you all for being here tonight, she began. This has been the most magical day of my life. Applause. Smiles. I clapped along with everyone else. I want to talk about family, Selena continued, about the people who shape us and the sacrifices that bring us to moments like this. She looked toward my table. Our eyes met across the crowded room. My father has always done his best as a single parent. He's just a retired computer repair guy, living a very simple life. He never had much to give me materially, but he gave me his love. Simple life. Never had much to give. The room was listening intently now. Several people dabbed at their eyes. I'm so grateful that Brandon's family can provide the stability and opportunities my dad never could. They've shown me what real success looks like, what it means to build something lasting. The words hit me like physical blows. Stability my dad never could provide. Real success. 200 people nodding in understanding. To the Mitchells, thank you for welcoming the daughter of a simple computer repairman into your accomplished family. I promise to live up to the standards you've set. The applause was thunderous. People were crying. Brandon's family looked moved by Selena's touching humility. I sat there and smiled. My face burned. My hands trembled against the tablecloth. But I sat there and smiled like a proud father should. The applause continued. People stood. A standing ovation for my daughter's beautiful, heartbreaking speech. I stood too, clapping mechanically as my world collapsed around me. 32 years of sacrifice. 32 years of love. 32 years of building an empire to secure her future. reduced to just a computer repair guy who never had much to give. I felt eyes on me, sympathetic glances from strangers, approving nods from Brandon's family. Look how gracefully he's taking this acknowledgement of his limitations. Someone at my table whispered, "What a sweet girl. So humble about her background. Background. Like I was something to be ashamed of." Selena made her way through the crowd, accepting congratulations. She caught my eye and smiled, that brilliant smile that had melted my heart since she was 3 years old. "Dad, did you like my speech?" "It was very honest, sweetheart." She hugged me tight, the same hug she'd given me when Princeton called about her scholarship, when the mysterious inheritance covered her down payment, when anonymous benefactors paid for this very wedding. "I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything you sacrificed for me. Everything I sacrificed." If only she knew. I drove home in my 15-year-old Honda, past the office building I owned, past the apartment complex I'd purchased as an investment, past the life I'd built in secret to protect the daughter who was now ashamed of me. That night, I made a different kind of promise. The next morning, Brandon called me. His voice was different, sharper, more suspicious. "Mr. Anderson, I need to ask you something. After Selena's speech last night, I was curious about your background. I ran a few searches." My stomach dropped. "Oh?" "I found SEC filings for TechBridge Solutions. The founder and CEO was listed as Jason Anderson, sold to Microsoft in 1998 for $85 million. Silence stretched between us. My mouth went dry. "That's quite a coincidence," I managed. "That's what I thought. Common name, right? But the timing matches when you would have been in business, and the business address was here in Connecticut." "Brandon, there are probably dozens of Jason Andersons in Connecticut." "Probably. But this Jason Anderson would be about your age now, and he disappeared from public records right after the Microsoft sale, like he wanted to stay hidden." I forced a laugh. "I think you're seeing patterns that aren't there, son. Trust me, if I'd sold a company for $85 million, don't you think my life would look a little different?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Yeah, you're right. Sorry, just lawyer instincts. Sometimes I see conspiracy where there's just coincidence." But I could hear doubt in his voice. The secret was getting dangerously close to exposure. The drive home took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of replaying every word from Selena's speech, every pitying look from the guests, every assumption about my simple life and limited resources. I passed the Brookstone Industrial Park. 3 buildings there belonged to me through various LLCs. Combined value $12 million. The 4th building housed Brandon's law firm. They paid rent to one of my companies every month. I turned onto Maple Street. The entire block of townhouses on the left belonged to my real estate portfolio. 24 units, $2 million in annual rental income. Selena lived in apartment 4B in a building I owned through Anderson Holdings LLC. She'd never made the connection between her luck finding affordable Manhattan housing and her father's property empire. I pulled into my driveway. Same house I'd bought when Selena was 7. Modest 2-bedroom colonial. Nothing fancy. Perfect camouflage for a man worth $85 million. But tonight, sitting in my old Honda, looking at my unremarkable house, I made a decision. 32 years of hiding was enough. 32 years of protecting her from wealth was enough. 32 years of being treated like a charity case by my own daughter was definitely enough. I pulled into my driveway and smiled for the first time that day. Inside my house, I went straight to the home office, opened the wall safe behind my computer repair certificates. The irony wasn't lost on me. 20 years of financial documents, trust agreements, LLC formations, investment portfolios, property deeds, and most importantly, every single gift to Selena, carefully documented as loans with specific repayment terms. The Princeton scholarship, actually a private loan with educational deferment clauses. $240,000 plus compound interest. The apartment down payment inheritance, another loan, secured against the property itself. $150,000 plus interest. The wedding bequest, loan number 3. $80,000 for a celebration that ended with my public humiliation. My lawyer Nelson Morris had thought I was paranoid. "Jason, why structure family gifts as recoverable loans?" "Insurance," I'd said, in case she ever forgets where they came from. Tonight I was grateful for my paranoia. Every document bore Selena's signature. Every contract included standard legal language about repayment terms. Every loan was structured to be immediately callable under specific circumstances, like disrespect, like ingratitude, like public humiliation. She had no idea what she'd actually signed over the years. I opened my laptop and created a new spreadsheet. Column 1, gift description. Column 2, date provided. Column 3, principal amount. Column 4, accumulated interest. Column 5, current balance due, Princeton education, $267,000. Apartment down payment, $178,000. Wedding expenses, $89,000. Various emergency loans over the years, $95,000. Total amount, $629,000. $629,000 that my daughter thought had fallen from heaven. All legally recoverable, all properly documented, all immediately due upon demand. But this wasn't about money. This was about respect, about truth, about teaching a lesson that should have been learned long ago. I pulled up my investment accounts. Current liquid assets, $43 million. Stock portfolio, $28 million. Real estate equity, $37 million. Various business holdings, $15 million. Total net worth, $123 million. My simple computer repair guy existence was about to end. I picked up my phone and dialed Nelson's emergency number. Jason, it's past midnight. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Nelson. Everything's about to be very right. I need you to prepare some paperwork. What kind of paperwork? Loan recall notices? All of them. Tomorrow, everything would change. Nelson Morris looked tired when I arrived at his office Monday morning. Coffee stains on his shirt, reading glasses perched on his nose. 20 years as my attorney, and he'd never seen me this focused. Jason, you're absolutely certain about this? Completely. He spread the documents across his mahogany desk. Every loan agreement Selena had signed, every contract she'd initialed without reading carefully, every legal commitment she'd made while thinking she was accepting gifts. These are all legally binding, Nelson confirmed. The education loan, the property loan, the wedding expenses, all structured as legitimate debt instruments. She signed them. She's liable. And the time frame? Under the terms you specified, all loans become immediately due upon demand. She has 90 days to arrange full repayment. $629,000 due in 90 days. What if she can't pay? Nelson adjusted his glasses. Then we proceed with asset recovery, lien against the apartment, garnishment of wages, standard debt collection procedures. And it's all legal? Absolutely. Though, Jason, I have to ask, is this really how you want to handle things with your daughter? I thought about Saturday night, about sitting in that reception hall while 200 people pitied the poor computer repairman, about Selena's speech praising everyone except the father who'd actually provided everything. Send the letters, Nelson. The first letter goes out today. The letter arrived at Selena's apartment Tuesday morning. Certified mail. Return receipt requested. Professional letterhead from Morris & Associates, attorneys at law. Notice of loan default and demand for payment. Dear Miss Anderson Mitchell, this letter serves as formal notice that your educational loan agreement, dated September 1st, 2010, is hereby called for immediate repayment. Principal amount, $240,000. Accrued interest, $27,000. Total amount due, $267,000. Payment is due within 90 days of this notice. My phone rang at 11:47 a.m. Dad, what is this letter? What loan agreement? I thought Princeton was a scholarship. I kept my voice calm, measured. Selena, we should probably discuss this in person. Discuss what? This says I owe someone $267,000 for college. Dad, what's happening? I never signed any loan documents. But she had signed them. Page after page, hidden in scholarship paperwork. Legitimate contracts disguised as administrative forms. Don't worry about it too much, sweetheart. I'm sure it's just some paperwork mix-up. Mix-up? Dad, this is serious. Brandon is freaking out. His family is asking questions. Brandon's family asking questions. How interesting. I'll look into it, I promised. The second letter was bigger. Thursday's delivery was thicker. Same letterhead, same professional tone, but this one included property documents and lien notifications. Notice of secured loan default. Dear Miss Anderson Mitchell, your residential property loan agreement, dated March 15th, 2012, is hereby called for immediate repayment. Principal amount, $150,000. Accrued interest, $28,000. Total amount due, $178,000. As this loan is secured by the property located at 47 West 84th Street, Apartment 4B, failure to remit payment within 90 days will result in foreclosure proceedings. This time, Selena showed up at my house. I found her sitting on my front steps at 6 p.m., still in her work clothes. Her face was red from crying. Papers scattered around her like fallen leaves. "Dad, they're saying I could lose my apartment. They're saying I signed loan documents for the down payment. But that money came from Great Aunt Mary." Great Aunt Mary. The fictional relative I'd invented to protect my daughter's pride. "Selena, you seem upset." "Upset? Dad, I'm being sued. Someone is trying to take my home. And Brandon—" She trailed off. "What about Brandon?" "He's asking how I could sign legal documents without understanding them. His family thinks I'm some kind of fraud." Fraud. Now that was ironic. "I'm sure it's all just a misunderstanding," I said gently. But the wedding bill was the big one. The final letter arrived Saturday morning, the day that would have been Selena's 1-week anniversary. Demand for immediate payment. Wedding expenses. Dear Miss Anderson Mitchell, your wedding expense loan agreement, dated June 1st, 2023, is hereby called for immediate repayment. Principal amount, $80,000. Accrued interest, $9,000. Total amount due, $89,000. Total debt across all 3 loans, $534,000. Plus legal fees and collection costs, $629,000. My phone didn't ring this time. Instead, I got a text message. "Dad, we need to talk now." I found Selena and Brandon in my living room an hour later. He was wearing his lawyer face. Stern, analytical, aggressive. She looked broken. "Mr. Anderson," Brandon began, "these loan documents appear to be legitimate. My firm has reviewed them. The signatures are valid. The terms are legal." "I see. But we don't understand how this is possible. Selena thought these were gifts, scholarships, inheritances." I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. For 32 years I'd seen love in those eyes. Gratitude, respect. Today I saw fear. And something else. Calculation. Like she was trying to figure out how to manipulate me into making this disappear. "Dad, you know I can't pay this much money. You know Brandon and I don't have $500,000. I smiled. "Actually, I'm not sure what I know anymore, Selena." Then I decided to tell them who I really was. I walked to my computer and opened my email. Started typing with both of them watching over my shoulder. To Selena Anderson Mitchell, Brandon Mitchell, Judge Harrison Mitchell, Marie Mitchell. Subject, financial disclosure and property ownership. Dear family members, I believe it's time for complete honesty about my financial situation and business holdings. Selena was reading over my shoulder. "Dad, what are you doing?" "My name is Jason Anderson. I am the founder and former CEO of TechBridge Solutions, a database management company I sold to Microsoft Corporation in 1998 for $85 million. Selena's face went white. Brandon stepped backward like I'd hit him. "My current net worth is approximately $123 million, managed through various investment portfolios, real estate holdings, and business interests." I attached my latest financial statements, property ownership documents, business registration papers. Every scholarship, inheritance, and anonymous gift Selena has received came directly from me, structured as legal loans to ensure proper documentation. I could hear Selena's breathing change, fast, shallow, panicked. Additional disclosure. I own the building housing Mitchell & Associates through Anderson Holdings, LLC. Monthly rent, $47,000. Brandon made a choking sound. I also own Selena's apartment building, the parking garage where she parks her car, and the coffee shop where she buys her morning latte. I hit send. The phone started ringing immediately. The first call came from Judge Mitchell, then Marie. Then Brandon's law partners, who just realized their rent checks were going to the father of the woman they'd been pitying. Selena sat on my couch staring at her phone as it buzzed continuously. Social media notifications, text messages, voicemails from wedding guests who'd somehow heard the news. "Dad, she whispered. "You're really worth over $100 million? Give or take. And you've been living in this house, driving that car, working at the repair shop. I like fixing things, and I wanted you to understand the value of money before you inherited it." Brandon was pacing my living room like a caged animal. "This changes everything. My partners, my family, the entire firm's reputation." "Your reputation? We rent from you. Do you understand how this looks? The computer repair guy we've been patronizing owns our building." Selina finally looked at me. Really looked at me. "Every scholarship, every inheritance, every lucky break I ever had came from me. The Princeton Scholarship Fund. I created it specifically for you." Great Aunt Mary. Never existed. The wedding money was my wedding gift to you, which you used to publicly humiliate me. She started crying then. Not pretty tears, but ugly, gut-wrenching sobs. "I didn't know. I never knew. I thought you were poor." But apologies weren't enough anymore. Sunday morning, Selina showed up alone. Brandon was dealing with family damage control, according to her text. She'd been crying all night. Her eyes were swollen, her voice hoarse. "Dad, I'm so sorry about the speech. I was nervous. I didn't mean it the way it sounded." I poured coffee for both of us. Same mugs we'd used for 20 years. Same kitchen table where she'd done homework while I coded million-dollar contracts. "How did you mean it, Selina?" Brandon's family has so much money. They judge everything. I wanted them to accept me, so I thought if I showed them I came from humble beginnings but had good values. Humble beginnings. I meant it as a compliment, like you taught me to work hard and be grateful, while being ashamed of the man who taught you those things. She reached across the table and grabbed my hands. "I'm not ashamed of you. I love you. You're my dad." I looked at her hands covering mine. Soft hands, manicured nails, Cartier watch on her wrist, a gift from Brandon's mother. "Selina, do you know how much money you've received from me over the past 15 years? The loans say 600,000. That's just the documented loans, the cash gifts for emergencies, the anonymous payments when your car broke down, the mysterious bonus checks at work that actually came from me talking to your boss, the scholarship money that covered your entire Princeton experience, including housing, meals, and books." Her face got paler with each item. "Altogether, you've received just over $2 million from me, without knowing it came from me." $2 million her father had provided while she complained about his limitations to her friends. Then Brandon tried to threaten legal action. Monday evening, Brandon arrived with his lawyer face on and a briefcase full of papers. "Mr. Anderson, I've consulted with several colleagues about this situation. These loan documents may be technically valid, but they were obtained under false pretenses." "False pretenses? You misrepresented your financial situation? Selina signed those documents believing you were a struggling single parent, not a multimillionaire." I smiled. "Are you suggesting fraud, counselor?" "I'm suggesting that no court would enforce contracts signed under these circumstances." "Interesting theory. Should we test it?" Brandon opened his briefcase and pulled out a legal brief. "We're prepared to fight this. My family has resources, connections. We won't let you destroy Selina's life over some twisted power game." I walked to my computer and pulled up a file. "Brandon, what's your firm's monthly rent? What does that have to do with anything?" $47,000, according to my records, paid to Anderson Holdings LLC. His confident expression wavered. "So? Your lease expires next month. I'm not renewing it." The color drained from his face. "You can't do that." "Actually, I can. I'm the landlord." I printed out the eviction notice I'd prepared that morning. 30 days to vacate. I'm converting the building to condominiums. My partners will never forgive me if we lose our offices because of my father-in-law's vendetta. "Then maybe you shouldn't have threatened to sue your father-in-law." Selina grabbed his arm. "Brandon, stop. Please. You're making it worse." But I wasn't done teaching lessons. His law career wasn't the only thing at risk. Tuesday morning, Brandon's phone rang during their emergency partners meeting. "Mitchell, this is Hamilton," said the senior partner. "We need to talk." "About the lease situation?" "I'm handling it." "About how you failed to recognize that our landlord is one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in Connecticut history. Do you understand how this makes our firm look?" Brandon's face went pale. Sir, a lawyer who can't identify a multimillionaire sitting in his waiting room, who dismisses a man worth over $100 million as just a computer repair guy? What does that say about our judgment, our research capabilities? But he was hiding his wealth. Irrelevant. Due diligence, Mitchell. We represent Fortune 500 companies. They expect us to recognize success, not be fooled by modest appearances. The line went quiet for a long moment. You're being reassigned from partner track to associate, effective immediately. And you're handling the lease negotiation personally. Try not to insult our landlord any further. Brandon stared at his phone in shock. 20 years of building his career, destroyed because he couldn't see past a 15-year-old suit. What happened? Selena asked when he came home early. I've been demoted because of your father. But that was just the beginning of his problems. By Wednesday, the story had spread throughout their social circle. Manhattan's Upper West Side is actually a small community when it comes to gossip. The headlines wrote themselves, Hidden tech mogul lived as handyman for 25 years. Daughter's wedding speech backfires spectacularly. Poor computer repair guy actually worth $123 million. Selena's phone hadn't stopped ringing. Friends who'd pitied her limited father now wanted to know about investment opportunities. Co-workers who'd offered sympathy about her struggling parent were suddenly interested in her family's real estate portfolio. Brandon's law firm was in chaos. His partners called emergency meetings about their lease situation. Several clients questioned whether they wanted representation from lawyers who couldn't recognize a multimillionaire sitting in their waiting room. Marie Mitchell left Selena a voicemail. Darling, we had no idea about your father's accomplishments. Perhaps we should have another dinner party. A proper introduction to society. Society. The same society that had ignored me at the wedding reception. Selena forwarded me the message. Dad, they want to make amends. Brandon's family wants to throw you a party, to apologize. How generous of them. They're good people. They just didn't understand. They understood perfectly. They understood that I didn't look like someone worth respecting. But I wasn't done teaching lessons. The most important conversation was still coming. Thursday afternoon, Brandon swallowed his pride and called me. Mr. Anderson, I need to speak with you about business. What kind of business, Brandon? My firm is struggling. The lease situation has created problems with our clients. We're losing accounts. The partners are panicking. I waited. Let him squirm. We need an investor, someone to inject capital and help us relocate. I was hoping, given our family connection. You're asking me for money? $2 million. We'd structure it as a legitimate business investment. Full documentation. Interest payments. The irony was perfect. The man who'd threatened to sue me was now begging for a bailout. I might consider it, I said slowly, under certain conditions. Anything. 3-year employment contract. You work directly for me, managing my legal affairs, at a salary I determine. Silence stretched across the phone line. You want me to work for you? Consider it an education in humility, the same education your wife is about to receive. What do you mean? Ask Selena about her new part-time job. I hung up before he could respond. Friday evening, I invited Selena to dinner, just the two of us, the same restaurant where we'd celebrated her Princeton acceptance 13 years ago. She looked exhausted. A week of public embarrassment and financial panic had aged her 5 years. Dad, what do you want from me? I want you to learn what I tried to teach you for 32 years, the value of money, the dignity of work, the difference between earning something and expecting it. I can work. I have a job, making $200,000 a year at a consulting firm where I arranged your position through a client favor. Her face crumpled. That job too? Selena, you've never earned anything in your life without my hidden help, never struggled, never worried about paying rent or buying groceries, never understood what it means to work for minimum wage. So what do you want me to do? Earn back my respect and pay back the debt. I slid a piece of paper across the table. Employment contract for Anderson Computer Repair. 6 months, part-time, minimum wage. You'll work in my shop, learning to fix computers. Real work with your hands. No special treatment because you're my daughter. She stared at the contract. You want me to work for you? I want you to work, period. To understand what honest labor feels like. To appreciate every dollar you earn. And if I do this, then we'll discuss reducing your debt. But first, you prove you can work without expecting miracles. Selena's first day at Anderson Computer Repair was a disaster. She arrived in designer clothes and heels. I handed her a work shirt and safety glasses. "Dad, these are so utilitarian." "Welcome to work, Selena." The first computer was a crashed hard drive belonging to Mrs. Patterson from down the street. Selena had never seen the inside of a PC before. "Where do I start?" "Remove the case. Check the connections. Test the drive with diagnostic software." It took her 2 hours to do what should have taken 20 minutes. Her manicured nails broke. Her back ached from hunching over the workbench. She dropped tiny screws twice. "This is impossible. How do people do this for a living?" Very carefully, and with respect for the work. Day after day she learned. Slowly, painfully. Her hands got calloused. Her clothes got dirty. She discovered muscles she'd never used. But something interesting happened. She started to take pride in fixing things, in solving problems with her hands instead of her credit card. "Dad, I got Mrs. Patterson's computer working. She was so happy she cried." "Feels good, doesn't it?" "Yeah, it really does." After 3 months, I offered her a small raise, $5 above minimum wage. She stared at the extra $20 in her paycheck like it was a fortune. "I earned this," she whispered. "Yes, you did." 6 months into her job at the repair shop, Selena made a decision that surprised everyone. She set up her phone and recorded a video. "Hi everyone, I'm Selena Anderson Mitchell. You might remember me from the viral wedding video where I publicly humiliated my father by calling him poor." The camera showed her in work clothes, hands dirty, standing in the computer repair shop. "Turns out my poor father is actually worth over $100 million. And for the past 6 months he's been teaching me the most valuable lesson of my life." She held up a broken laptop. "This is Mrs. Chen's computer. Her grandson accidentally deleted all her photos. 6 months ago I would have told her to buy a new one. Today, I'm going to spend 3 hours recovering every single photo because I know what it's like to work for money." The video showed her carefully rebuilding the hard drive, explaining each step. "My father hid his wealth to teach me humility. Instead, I learned entitlement. He gave me millions in secret support while I complained about his limitations. He built an empire while I built assumptions." The camera captured her successfully recovering the photos. Mrs. Chen's tears of joy. "For 6 months, I've been working for minimum wage in my dad's shop. Best job I ever had. Not because of the pay, but because I finally understand what my father was trying to teach me." She looked directly into the camera. "Money you don't earn is just borrowed time. Respect you don't deserve is just borrowed dignity. I'm done borrowing. I'm earning." The video went viral overnight. 10 million views in 3 days. After 8 months of working at the shop, Selena surprised me with an envelope. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside was a cashier's check for $100,000. "Selena, where did you get this money?" "I earned it." The viral video led to sponsorship deals, a book contract. Speaking engagements about privilege and humility, I've been saving every penny. She sat down across from my desk. "It's not enough to cover the debt. I know that. But it's the first money I've ever earned completely on my own. No help from you, no mysterious benefactors, just me, working." I looked at the check. $100,000, a fraction of what she owed, but worth more than all the millions I'd given her combined. "Dad, I want to keep working, keep earning, keep paying you back properly." "Selena, please, let me finish this. Let me prove I can do it." I thought about her words, about the calluses on her hands, about how she'd changed from an entitled consultant to a woman who took pride in fixing Mrs. Patterson's computer. What about Brandon? He's learning humility too. Working for you has been good for him, good for us. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. The entitled young woman was gone. In her place sat someone I was proud to call family. I tore up the check. "Dad, why, the debt is forgiven, all of it. But I wanted to pay you back." "You already have. You paid me back with something more valuable than money." "What?" "My daughter, the real one. The one who understands the value of work. The one who's proud of her father regardless of his bank account." She started crying then, happy tears this time. "But I'm keeping the job," she said through her tears. "I like fixing things. I was hoping you'd say that." 1 year after the wedding, I wrote Selena a letter. Not 2 sentences this time, but a full page. "My dear daughter, you asked me once why I hid my wealth from you. The answer is simple. I wanted you to discover your own worth first. Money you inherit is just luck. Money you earn is character. Respect you're given is temporary. Respect you earn is permanent. For 32 years, I gave you everything except the chance to discover who you really were. The wedding speech hurt, but it was the best gift you ever gave me. It forced us both to stop pretending. You are no longer the daughter of a rich man. You are no longer the daughter of a poor man. You are simply my daughter, and that is enough. The shop is yours when you're ready, not because you're my heir, but because you've earned it. Love, Dad. P.S. Your mother would be proud. I left it on her workbench at the shop. 2 years later, Selena was running the computer repair shop. She'd expanded it into 3 locations, built her own small empire, one satisfied customer at a time. Brandon had completed his 3-year contract and started his own practice. Smaller than his old firm, but more honest. He specialized in helping small business owners navigate legal challenges. "Remember when we thought your dad was poor?" he said one Sunday over dinner. "He was poor," Selena replied. Poor at pretending to be someone he wasn't, just like we were. Marie and Harrison Mitchell had become regular customers at the repair shop. Turns out, old money families have a lot of ancient computers that need fixing. "Selena," Marie said one day, "I want to apologize again for how we judged your father." "Judge him now," Selena replied simply. And they did. Judge Jason Anderson, businessman, father, teacher. The man who'd built an empire twice, once with computers, once with love. The wedding photos still sat on Selena's desk, but now she pointed to a different picture when people asked about her family. A photo of her and me in matching work shirts, smiling over a successfully repaired laptop. "That's my dad," she'd say proudly. "He fixes things." And in the end, that's exactly what he had done.